the attendance of the elected officials and all y'all folks put on events that make the city what it is today in conjunction with y'all. I was asked to be, my name is Spencer Fry, I'm state representative. I'm a little tired, my words seem a little jumbled. I had like 20 hours yesterday and a long day today, and then we got about 20 hours tomorrow. And then you'll be safe from any shenanigans that all these people who are running for office are gonna try to do, okay? And that's literally it. Half the Senate's running for higher office. Are you recording this? I'm not saying any names. I'm not saying any names. I'm just saying, you know, we do have a saying that in the House, the Republicans aren't necessarily the enemy. It's the Senate that's the enemy. And they are really, there's budget impasses right now. I've got one piece of good news for you, which I think y'all all appreciate, is that for the first time we've been able, in 5 years, we've been trying this for 5 years, but we've created a Georgia music department. Okay? So, I mean, that's an amazing step. We've been battling this since I walked in the door, and specifically this piece of legislation. Now, it's upon funding, there's always that, but at least we have that in the legislation, and it'll be very easy for someone to put the funds in the budget to create that, which will help this meeting out. I was asked to moderate this meeting, but I don't think I'm moderating. I think I'm facilitating, because I think most everybody in here at least knows of each other in some way, shape, or form. And I want this to be just a really good discussion on how we can support the creative groups in this city that have put us on the map, but also how we can make sure that we can handle it within the confines of what we have to do as a municipality, and do everything equally, but also do everything where we get a good return on our investment, because that's what it is. It's investing into our community. Okay? All right, so that was my welcome. We're going to look at this agenda. Introductions. Okay, if y'all can read that, what I'd like to do is say, like, okay, we're going to do this super quick. All right? There's enough people in this room that we can do this super quick. You just say name and title, that's it. Go.
Noel Johnson, and I do artists and academic transformation.
I'm Emily Noble. I'm the Association Director for the Classic City Marathon.
Peter Norris, event coordinator for Athfest. It's been a festival.
Homer Wilson, Hot Corner Downtown.
Sean Griffin, Executive Director, Athens Film Festival.
Timmy Conley, Director, Wild Rumpus.
Gene Dixon, Twilight.
I'm Debbie Watson, Executive Director at Nuci Space.
Carrie Teague, Communications Director of Athens-Clarke Collective.
Hi, I'm Lizette. I'm the organizer for LatinX Fest.
Okay, look, we're going to do the audience too, because we can go real quick. Okay, go.
Linda Thorne, Downtown Development Authority.
Alice Wright, County Commissioner of District 4.
Lakeisha Gant, Carol Myers, District 8 Commissioner of the East Side.
Should have 4, District 1.
Commission District 5.
Tiffany Tyler, District 3.
Now, Olvita Thornton, District 9.
Angela from LatinX Fest.
Es el cabello director por LatinX Fest.
Aline, organizer for LatinX Fest.
Inés, Latin Fest.
Braden Hughes with Wild Rumpus.
Kelly Weigel with the Wild Rumpus.
And I'm Mux with JOKERJOKERtv.
All right, thank y'all so much for doing that. Everybody knows who each other is, who we represent, and I think what we're going to do is just kind of open it up. And what I'd like to do is introduce Tim. Tim's been a little friend of mine, old Athenian. I say we kind of grew up here together. And so Tim, if you could kick us off and tell us why we're here, what we want to talk about, and give us a little bit of direction. That would be awesome.
Thank you. Thanks, Spencer. So glad that you guys are here to have a conversation about special events. Like, all these people here knock themselves out every year, year after year, to add value, to add culture, to add to our economy through doing the events that we do. I think in particular, we're here and invited y'all because city funding for events has been really critical and pivotal to the success of events that happen in Athens. So, like the Wild Rumpus in particular, I think got a huge kickstart from funding from the city that came through Downtown Development Authority. So, when we're here talking to you today, it's because we are trying to work together to gain more support from the city. So, we've banded together, we created a website, we have collected our thoughts, and hopefully in a logical way that we can get them across to you and have a conversation about the mechanics of funding, but also just share some testimonials about what it's like to do events in Athens.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
So, really, I'm just going to ask a couple questions, and what I'd like to say, is I'd like to get some perspectives from the commissioners, as well as perspectives from y'all. Starting with you. Go ahead, why don't you just tell us what it's like? We all know that the city does participate, the city supports us, so just give us some great things that you've experienced and maybe something that we can work on.
Yeah, so this is going to be our 28th year of Athfest. Some of you may recall Athfest. Jared Bailey was instrumental in starting that when downtown was really quiet during the summer. And that continues to be one of our missions in when we organize Athfest. I start in November. The committee starts meeting in January, and so it takes us 6 months to put the festival together. We have some fantastic individuals that have been there for 26 years. Troy has been there for 26 years. I started as their event coordinator 3 years ago, and my mission, in addition to continue the legacy of Athfest, is also to make sure that Athfest is sustainable in the future. And part of that is getting new people involved with Athfest. We've started an internship program. We got good support with the music business program and the School of Music and the School of Social Work, their nonprofit program. So we are really proud of the efforts that we do. I have about a $400,000 expense budget for putting on Athfest.
And you did an amazing job with that little bit amount of money.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that it's volunteer work. We ask for about 200 volunteers. We generally don't get 200, but it's around 120, 140 volunteers that show up and do 4-hour shifts. The festival is, we start there Friday at 6 a.m. and we don't quit until Sunday about 11 o'clock. Music goes from 5 to 10 o'clock downtown, and then we open up the clubs. So we really bring the whole community into that. And we really try to accommodate all individuals. We have our Kids Fest. We put together music for people in there that would be appreciative in their 20s and 30s. We have another event, Gospel Brunch, to bring a whole other crowd. We have, Sundays are kind of an older crowd, more chill. So we do all these things, and we get great support from ACC departments. I have good relationships with staff and leisure services and ACC police and the water department, the waste management. All these departments come together and help us put festivals together.
So thank you. And now I know a lot of our elected officials have been at Athfest before. I've seen you all there. Since we're talking about music, let's go to the hot corner. Tell us about what your event needs, what the city helps you with, and how can we do things better? Or you might be great.
Well, Hot Corner is a special event for our community. And our basic theory is history. Some 66 businesses that was down on Hot Corner. Some of the first dentists in the whole state of Georgia started on Hot Corner. Some of the most important buildings in the United States of America were built on Hot Corner, about the Morton. We took the Union Hall was there before the Morton. So we basically were talking about a spiritual event where we come together, we give scholarships for people that is going into business. We start with small kids. We have a special event for them. We talk about interest them in business. So we might be just a little different because we believe in the existence of a supreme being.
Amen. 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 That was Tiffany's job. Amen, Pew.
So it's been a great event, 26 years. The feedback I got from last year, the first time we did it, we had a citywide revival. And we included the Methodist, and Unitarian churches. There was a great feedback in what we was doing. So we call that in our community confirmation. And for us to keep going, and we thank the city for your support that you do, and Downtown Development Authority, you are one of our best supporters. And I see some things that could be more beneficial if we get support from everybody that come to us. We got to pay them.
I feel you. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And so maybe just, we get the money. By the time we pay the stage, pay the police, pay the water, pay the electric, pay the meat, pay the dope, pay you and all that, all the money goes back to where it comes from. So maybe sometime they give us a little support, but we're here to stay. We love it. All these events here is a different culture.
That's right. That's a great point.
Every last one of them. And I will just be different. We depend on what my dad, others have done. And now we thank you for it. And if you give us a little more, hallelujah, So,
and certainly, and so I appreciate you saying that, because I want to go back. Ms. Ford, could you talk about, what y'all's mission is, what you see, and I know sort of some of your bosses are in the room, so I'm not going to put you on the spot or anything, but ultimately, I guess we probably need to figure out a way to get Downtown Development Authority a bunch of money, and you can spread it out this way.
So the way the process works, and it is a process, and we're at the beginning of that sort of now. The deadline for events to apply for the CEP funding for the next fiscal year is the end of February. So we have all the applications in. That funding will start July 1. Our board makes a recommendation. Then that recommendation goes to the mayor and commission. The mayor and commission can tweak it, completely change it, accept it as is, whatever, And it depends. Some years they don't do anything, and some years they change it a lot. So, and then we manage the distribution of it. So that's sort of how that works. And it's interesting because we don't usually it's a reimbursement type thing. And in the past, that's never really been an issue, but because we have so many more events now, we would get reimbursed once at the end of the fiscal year. Now we've started getting reimbursed every month because we have so many great events and there is more money. Like, it's up to $250 now. It was not too long ago, $60,000. So that's been a big change for us, but we've worked with the county to work that out. And the other interesting thing, we used to, at one time we had really no events in August and maybe one in September. And now by the end of September, we've funded, between $30,000 and $40,000. So it's we've worked that out with the county. So.
Excellent. Appreciate you being open about that. And the budget, just if you look on the second page, you can see budget with comparable cities. Gainesville, Florida each one of these cities has more people than Athens, but certainly the amounts seem pretty like a big deal. And I think one thing that we look for in the legislature when we are trying to fund a program is we find that we're most successful when we can create a dedicated funding stream. And so that might be something we can put on the list for the future of analyzing exactly how we can maybe get some more money into these events.
And one more thing too, just so
Yes,
everybody in the room knows, that funding comes from hotel motel tax.
Right.
That doesn't come from general fund, it doesn't come from BDA fund, it comes from hotel motel tax.
Are there grants available? Are there state grants? I know I'm the state guy, but that's why I'm so excited about the music department. But I guess for film, economic development, I don't think they really have a lot of city grants they give out. Patrick?
I'm just piggyback off of Linda. I'm jumping ahead of myself. So one of the issues we have is the hotel motel tax. Our general budget, our general fund are depleting because we're funding a lot of things. Would the state be interested in increasing through a referendum, we did the state, increasing our hotel tax by 1%. That would save, I think that would pretty much solve the problem, at least 2%, but we haven't raised our hotel motel tax percentage in, I think, 8 years, if I could be wrong.
We hadn't raised it since I've been up there 14 years, so it hadn't been raised for a couple decades, I'm sure. Part of the argument with some of the hoteliers is that, okay, well, it puts Athens at a non-competitive market. And my response to that is, well, I don't think I've ever looked at how much tax my hotel room cost until I got my bill slid under my door when I was leaving. I never used that hotel motel tax as a decision to make or break. So that's a viable solution. The issue is, in order to raise it on Clarke County, we would have to have a referendum. So currently, the way it's local delegations. So we have 2 Senate and 4 House members. 2 of our members would have blocked that at every turn. But next year, they may not be there. They will not be there. They didn't qualify for those seats. So there is potential to do that next year if we can get the local delegation to be on board. I'd take the hit for that because I think I don't really care because I think that's superfluous to why people visit and stay in a hotel, right? As long as every hotel has the same tax, the rest of it shouldn't matter. Commissioners, any other commissioners want to chime in?
Yeah, I need to.
Yes.
I called the attorney. It's 6 months a year, and normally for 6 months a year, it's supposed to be public notice, and it wasn't, so we really shouldn't be commenting. We can listen?
Brilliant.
Yeah. So I just told Patrick.
It needs to be a learning session.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You got a quorum.
And you knew there was something wrong with you not saying something.
Yeah.
Could I ask a question?
There was a lot of y'all in this
It's more of a listening for us, or we really shouldn't be coming.
Dexter, thank you for bringing that up.
We've got a lot of events people who have spoken.
Yeah, let's go on down the events, and you want to start right here, say a couple words, and your experience on how the events have gone in Athens.
I would say that my experience, I got here in 2012. Our goal was to bring events that weren't here already. So we brought like the Athens Hip Hop Awards, MLK Day Parade, Music Festival, the Athens Black Market. It was only like a hot corner going on in town for its diversity, event. I don't even think the Latin Festival had been started in 2012 yet.
2011.
So 1 year. So it was rough getting these events started. We didn't get into it for financial gain. We actually went homeless trying to keep some of these events up. We were living in a hotel in Gwinnett County trying to produce the 3rd annual Athens Hip Hop Award because there was no support, for event producers or creators in town. And by the grace of God and some kind people in town, we ended up back here in Athens again, producing the 3rd annual, and we made it all the way to the 10th annual. But this was from no city funding. This is just us sacrificing our rent money, sacrificing what we had, trying to make things happen for the community. So I'm sure there's other people that have ideas out here that would like to do events that don't have the ability to sacrifice like we did to make that happen. And if we could get more support from the city, we could be able to pay more people and make events bigger and bring bigger names out here and get the community more engaged in things like voting and some of the messages, and the government need help getting out to the community. We can draw more people that need these messages downtown into these different areas, and that's something that could help. So that's from my experience. I was trying to, as a minority, trying to start an event in this town, not knowing where resources are at, not knowing what information on how to get the resources, knowing nobody who knows that, but just having a drive to want to start something. So, and I would say probably over the last 5 years, we just started to see some support.
Cool.
Yeah, so it'd be cool if people consider that.
Maybe we can think about some sort of micro, smaller loan system as opposed to some of the larger events, so that, and there might be some money from the state we can fund the music program. And then switching over to fitness.
Yeah, well, I might be the youngest event here. I'm with the Classic City Marathon. We're 3 years old now. Marathoning is incredibly popular, and major city marathons, they have a huge economic impact. I just saw an article showing that some of the really major city marathons, which once they were small, rival the economic impact of the Olympics, right? So New York City Marathon versus the Olympics, because right now they're just so hugely popular. London is splitting their event into 2 days because they have so many people, they can't accommodate everybody on one day. Not saying that we're like London or New York, but we do get a lot of runners that come to the Classic City Marathon because a lot of people like to do one in every state, and they've decided that ours has gotten great enough reviews that people want to come to ours to run for the vibes, they say, because we have really good vibes, and Athens is a really cool city. We have bands all along the course. We have high school students designing our medals. We had Cedar Shoals, and then we had Clark Central high school students designing our medals. We involve local artists, give out local art posters. Our entire mission is community building, because we believe that watching a marathon, running a marathon, being in the space where somebody is kind of trying to accomplish this really big thing, it really connects you with empathy for other humans. It brings people together. It just connects you with your humanity. So our entire mission is to build community at every level, with our volunteers, with the police that we work with. We love working with the police that do events, leisure services, our runners, our out-of-town guests. One of the best reviews that I think we've gotten is, we just feel like you have such a great community in Athens, and for one day it was nice to feel like we were a part of it. So that's really is our goal. Our first couple of years, we rented out the Classic Center because we did the marathon in January. It was very cold. It was way too expensive, cost prohibitive for us. It was really expensive to rent out that event. We did not make any money this year. Well, a little, but barely. So we're like dipping into reserves because we like to have as part of our mission that we donate to local charities. Part of the reason that we do that is because it helps us engage the charities on event day. They come, they do water stops, that kind of thing, and it helps with the community building part of our mission. Part of the reason is we just like to give back. Our entire association is people organizing. It's like 35 volunteers that are year-round. We meet 2 hours for 2 hours at a time, once a month, more as we get close to the event. So a lot of people just volunteering their time to do this thing, and it's getting difficult, at least this year, with all of the economic uncertainty. It's difficult to get the sponsorship commitment. You know, the first couple of years, I think now people are like, we're not sure what's going to happen, so we don't know, you know, and we don't. So anyway, so it would be great if the city, if there was a bigger budget for events like ours.
Film festival.
Yeah, so the film festival is on year 3. We're an international film festival with a lot of programming that involves local and Georgia film. And so I kind of started it just seeing how Georgia has become the #1 film industry sector in the world. It still is. And just seeing that explosion in the economy, I talked to many film festivals before starting this, and they were absolutely shocked. Even Atlanta was. They thought we had a film festival. We hadn't had one in probably 15 years. My desire was to do international film, but also put that next to Athens filmmakers, Georgia filmmakers, with the intention of having those countries see Athens for what it is and what Athens can offer. We had about 100 films the first year, 120 films last year. That compared to most film festivals is an extremely large amount. It's an extremely large undertaking. Most first year film festivals are 20 films, 30 films, room full of 100 people. We had about 800 people the first year, 1,200 people the second year. And just for context, the film festival this is one of 10,000 in the world. Film festivals are part of the circuit where the filmmaker goes, and their goal is to take their film to Sundance, Cannes, the top tier ones, and maybe the Oscars. We got a few Oscar qualifying films, but anyways, we're just part of that circuit. It's a big competition. It's extremely competitive. We had about 70 filmmakers in attendance last year, which is a crazy amount for a second year. It's mostly volunteer-based. It's labor of love. Our budget is small, but the town is really good to us, offering screening venues, that sort of thing. And we're currently partnered with media partners with Georgia Entertainment, which sort of is the driving force of the Georgia film industry. They basically push us forward and get those tax breaks, and continue the tax breaks for Georgia. We're also partnered with Trillis Studios, which is the largest film studio in the world. It's out in Fayetteville. And we're keeping those partnerships going. And Creative Artists Agency, people say that Hollywood owns film. Creative Artists Agency owns Hollywood, if that makes sense. They're interested in coming down because they see we're a regional film festival. We're now the only film festival in North Georgia. We get as much competition as Atlanta, and perhaps the content is rival Sundance. So that was the goal. I did it very aggressively and got the films. That is to say, we're very ahead as far as programming and cloud, ahead of the development phase that it's owned from the nonprofit world. I have to steward that well and develop it and create sustainability. Right now it's very volunteer-based, and we're making a lot of progress, but certainly that support from the city goes a long way. It's a huge investment in the film industry here that's getting very exciting for filmmakers. In UGA, not just in UGA, but Atlanta and local indie filmmakers here, they've never been more excited to be a filmmaker. So it's just bringing that industry here, and that only brings in more films being produced here. That means money for businesses, just money for the city. So to keep that going, a film festival is kind of the lifeblood of that process. And I've always said Athens is pound for pound the #1 festival town in the United States. You could argue that. So what better place to have film celebrated here, so.
That was excellent. I just learned a pile of information from hearing y'all. Thank you for saying this stuff. Tell us about this parade that just started as a tiny little gathering of people. Tim?
Thanks, Spencer. The Wild Rumpus, I started in 2009. Gene and I had this conversation one time. Most of the people at this table didn't start our events as a business. We started to do something cool or to promote bikes. I did it as a whim almost, and it turned into this big thing now. So if y'all haven't experienced the Rumpus, it's probably 20, 30,000 people downtown having the time of their life. I hear it all the time that the Wild Rumpus and other events is what makes Athens, Athens. It's not only celebrating and preserving culture, it's creating culture. And that's what our town is known for. That's what our tourism department markets. Our tourism department's flagship promotions are Athens events. So we're here today, we're pitching for more support. My perspective is the Rumpus got huge, and I want to keep thrilling the crowds. So I will throw my entire self into it. That takes money. So with the help of commissioners and downtown development, we got the CEP budget. That's the Community Enhancement Project budget. Significant raise in 2023, and that was huge for all of us. I think a lot of these organizers, myself included, didn't take a salary for a long time. We're just doing it on top of other work, but I can't do that. I have Rumpus is like a yearly job for me. So the total budget of the Wild Rumpus could be done for about $150,000. I get a lot done with little. It really needs to be up over 200 for us to be comfortable, for us to be safe, for me to be able to be paying people that are performers and staff like more of a wage, to be taking more of a living wage for myself. And as was alluded to earlier, the sponsorships that we depend on, what grew the Rumpus is local business sponsorships. And those are pretty dicey in 2026. We've had a lot of people drop off the past couple of years, or they can't do. And guess who's getting hit up by everybody at this table? We are hitting up all the same people, and now there's more events. So we're all squeezing our local economy more than can be squeezed. So the situation like this, looking on down the next couple of years, we don't want to start losing festivals, or the festivals aren't as spectacular as they were in the past, so crowds start to thin out. The festivals, we want to support them. So we did some research on this, and we found out that in other cities that are comparable to Athens, there's different mechanisms for the way these things go. A friend of mine pitched a Wild Rumpus to Vail, Colorado. That was back in 2018, and they had $1 million events budget in Vail. We have $250,000. Back then we had $60,000. So we got it up to $250,000. That's a little more competitive, but we really need to get it up from there. As I put on the second sheet of your handout behind the agenda, there's some of these comparable cities. I'm going to tell you a story because I just spoke to the director of tourism in Scottsdale, Arizona yesterday. I was trying to see how it was like there, and he's telling me about their $2.6 million budget for events. And they do it a little different there. It's not exactly how we do, but they have $2.6 million. And I said, yeah, we have $250,000 here in Athens, so I'm trying to figure out how we can
figure out a new way. And he kind of laughed. And he was like, yeah, that's kind of like where we were at 20 years ago. And that's the way it feels. If we could modernize this for more support for events, which our city is using to market itself as a cultural destination, that would be appropriate, and it would keep us more competitive with other cities. Because even cities like Columbus, Georgia, and Macon are overtaking Athens for really investing. I'm lucky with the Wild Rumpus. We can get some sponsorships, but smaller events need investment so they can grow, and then gets that money ball rolling. So I just wanted to share one more thing with you before I pass the baton here, but we've worked on economic impact. All of us have tried to do some of that, so I did 2. These are some online economic impact calculators. I figured from the Rumpus, based on our attendance and our budget, we are generating $1 million to $1.25 million, $1.29 million in economic impact for Athens-Clarke County. So if we look at the math on that, we got $35,000 in CDP funding last year. The economic impact that this states is a 30 times multiplier of that investment from the city. So we took that 35,000 and multiplied it by 30 in economic impact for the city. And really hope that you guys commission, and Kelly's not here. I've been badgering Kelly on the emails, trust me. But can work on us to find a solution and find a way through this so that we can move forward, so we can keep developing our events.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Next, a guy, when I first met him, I think he must have me because I knocked over a bike in some bike shop next to downtown. But Gene, tell us about the Twilight. I think we all know about the Twilight, but you've done such a great job in the labor of love for a very long time.
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to go through a little story here real quick. I got on a bike when I was 15 to go ride back and forth to a horse. I'd ride 30 miles a day, and that kind of got me into bike racing. Then I moved to Athens to go to school, and that lasted about 1 semester. Had a bike shop at 19. That was in 1973. So that's 50 years ago? Something like that. Anyway, then we started the Twilight in 1980. But here's the interesting part of my story. I think it might be the most impressive or depressive. The very first downtown housing in Athens was a piece of property that I and Smith Wilson developed. We had 16 apartments downtown on Foundry Street. That was the very first downtown housing. Somewhere along the line, it seems like I might have made a wrong turn. There seems to be more housing than there are bike races in town. But anyway, but I guess what I'm getting around to saying is it was a hobby for me to begin with, and it's really turned into a profession. It's all I work on now, except we do have a national race series that's kind of emulated what we do here in Athens. There's a race in Boise, there's a race in Denver, there's a race in, a lot of them that are really similar. And it's been the kind of model for bike racing in America. But anyway, somewhere along the line, like I say, I turned it from a hobby to a profession. Decided to go down the road of doing this event instead of doing downtown housing. You can see where it's got me in my cheap shoes. But anyway, but I think what we really think about when we talk about the Twilight is it's free. Now we sell everything we can possibly sell. We sell VIP tickets. We sell wristbands, which has been a great plus. But I think one of the most important things about most of our events that are really, they're not a $50 ticket. They're not they're not a $12 beer when you get after you pay for your $50 ticket. They're free events for the community, and that's what I think makes this event, makes Rumpus, makes these events really more valuable than ticketed events or a lot of other things. And that's what you're really paying for with the money that we get. fans. We're really environmentally conscious, and that's just a part of the offshoot of doing bicycle. I mean, again, I had the bike shop when I was 19. We sold 25,000 bikes in Athens, I think, some ridiculous number. And they're still kicking around. I see them every day. Anyway, I'm happy to answer questions, but turning it into a profession is what's really made the event better. Our ability to really focus on and have staff, to pay key people to come in to help us make it work. There's a group of people that do nothing but events around the country, and we bring a lot of them into Athens to do our event. And being able to do that has really helped it make it better. So appreciate the funding we have, and I think we are lucky in that we have a tremendous commercial support, but it's still, it's a $400,000 budget that, I'm making my money on something else. So anyway.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. Have some people talk about how they're riding a gambler coming up here soon. Let's go. Nuci Space?
Yes, again, my name is Debbie. I'm the Executive Director of Nuci Space. For us, it's a little different. So, as you may know, we offer a lot of programs, services at Nuci Space. Our fundraisers have been more localized, where an event is at the 40 Watt or an event at the Georgia Theater or even at Nuci Space. But what we've been learning and just experiencing with our musicians, with the people that we serve, is how do we give back to them in the way of their craft? So what we've experienced with Athens Business Rocks, if you've ever attended the event before this year, it was a one-day event at the 40 Watt. We raised a bunch of money. We had businesses put bands together. We've had judges. We had a couple of judges here in the room that have done the judging before. It's this Battle of the Band style fundraiser event. But for us, it never really raised the kind of money that we were trying to raise. A lot of the reasons why what you heard here, a lot of times it's sponsorships. There's a lot of events going on, so everyone's trying to attend different things at the same time. So then for us, we're like, okay, well, how do we turn this into even like a service or a program? Very similar to what we do every day. We're here to help our music community or art community finding the help that they need. And so it's like, what better way to give them that platform of performing? So we connected with several different local businesses, and this Saturday is the first time we're ever going to try it this way, so I hope y'all can come out. But it's for us, it's just thinking about it a little differently. Instead of it just being about raising funds for our programs, this is the program. This is the place where our musicians can go and play and get paid and feel like they're being, just cherished and feeling like they are part of this community, they are part of the economy of this town. And we're just very excited to be part of that. We actually just applied for the grant this first time around, so hopefully we'll see how that turns out for next year. And thank y'all for supporting Nuci Space in any way that you have in the past, and I look forward to seeing this event grow for us.
Thank you, Debbie. Rumpus?
Mine also starts off a little bit of the story. My parents are from Atlanta. I was raised in Metro Atlanta. My very first Pride experiences were Atlanta Pride. And going to Atlanta Pride, while it is an amazing and is a spectacle and is one of the biggest national prides, it did not feel like a pride that I felt joyous about. It felt very corporate, commercial. It felt like a business. It didn't feel like what I thought Pride was supposed to feel like. I didn't think I needed Pride. Then I went to school in Statesboro, Georgia, and I realized I actually really do need Pride. And I really do need a central queer community. And me and so many other people from all over rural Georgia have found their way to Athens because of our Pride that we've been putting on for the past 3 years. Athens Pride is already one of the largest Pride celebrations outside of Atlanta. And we serve as a model for Macon, for Smyrna, for Rome. They're seeing what we're doing, they're seeing the way that we engage with our community, and they are copying our model in order to engage with their own communities. Statesboro, the school that I went to 5 years ago, has a Pride now. When I went there, I could have never imagined that. And I'm so grateful that what I'm doing here is somehow still affecting the city that I felt like I had to leave. I really would love to see our Pride grow to be something more than just a one-day parade and festival. I would love for us to have a calm Sunday Pride that's more accessible to families, to the older generations of queer people and allies. I want people to be able to bring their grandparents to Pride, but our Pride currently is amazing and I love it. But it's not always the most accessible. There's so many different ways to show Pride, and there's so many different ways to engage all of our community. And I love seeing our community engage. People recognize me at the bar, people recognize me downtown, and they were like, you were carrying the like Pride banner. And I get to tell them about what we do year round, and I get to connect so many people to very important resources. We have a major resource fair that takes place at the same time during our parade that connects people with queer like aligned therapists, queer aligned like physicians. And these things are really important. Like it's not something that everyone just thinks about. Like it's great, queer joy. I love the celebration part of Pride, but the true part of what makes our Pride so amazing is that it's not just a big parade with a bunch of rainbows. It is a genuine like part of connection to this city. And not only to the city, we serve as the biggest Pride in Northeast Georgia. People come from all over. People come from South Carolina and Florida to our Pride. It's always amazing to talk to people, and they just tell me some random city that I could have never thought that like someone made the trip to come to this parade. But it's always, I'm always floored to find out, and I love to hear the further the cities go out. And if we had an increase in funding and we had these be a multiple day event, it would be something to get a hotel for, something to come visit family closer for, put money back into our local economy, but also to like truly come make a vacation out of Pride during and then maybe while you're here for Pride Month, you hear about our Juneteenth celebrations, or you hear about Athfest, or you hear about one of the many other festivals that we do in the city throughout the entire year. I know several people that came to Pride and then immediately came back for Juneteenth because we had things for Juneteenth in our Pride. But to wrap that up, Athens Pride already demonstrates our statewide influence, our cultural impact, and our economic benefit. I just would really love to see, we have a great deal of support, especially comparable to the rest of the state. But I would love to see in a time like now, more support. I really think that it is crucial to us growing, to all of these kind of events growing, is a solid backing. And an investment would help ensure that.
Thank you so much. Finish my notes here. That's great. And International Street Festival?
LatinFest.
LatinFest. LatinFest. That's okay, y'all. Okay, I was going to invite one of y'all up. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell us about LatinFest.
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, thank you all so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. So LatinFest started in 2011, like we discussed. And if y'all didn't know, it started actually in the Pinewoods Mobile Home Park. And to see that festival grow from a tiny community, majority Latinos, to a whole festival in downtown Athens, it's incredible. And the festival itself, it only lasts one day, but in our wildest dreams, it could last multiple days. And you know, like Pride Fest, it would be a reason for folks to stay multiple days in Athens. And so the festival is organized under DIA, which is Dignidad Inmigrante en Athens, Athens Immigrant Dignity. And one of the main goals of DIA is to show the Latino community here in Athens that they are welcome in these spaces. And so for LatinFest to be downtown, it allows folks who really would avoid it, who never really have a reason to be downtown, to go and see what it all has to offer. Let's see. Also, again, lots of neighboring communities come to visit our Latin festival because it is so big. And we're also trying to incorporate other holidays into our festival that are common in other Latino countries. We try to center it around El Grito, which is an independence day for many countries in Latin America. And yeah, we always try to have messaging during the festival. that everyone is welcome. We have a kids area, we have music, we have dancing. We try to incorporate everyone to make sure everyone feels welcome. This year, part of the festival, we're trying to raise funds for CIVIC, which is support for immigrant families in crisis through the Athens Immigrants' Rights Coalition. They provide support, financial support for families who have been affected by deportations and detentions. And also allies, we love our allies, they're always welcome. Everyone is always welcome to the festival. And I think representation just shows, Latino community, we're all human beings, and I think that fights discrimination when you could put a face to what you fear. Economic impact. Well, first of all, within the festival, it's a way for small mom and pops shops to support their businesses, folks who are literally just setting up a tent and a grill, and that's their business. And sorry folks, but LatinFest has the best food of all the festivals. I'm just gonna say it, it's been told to me, I'm just reporting that. And so, of course, CEP funds are a huge help for the festival, and we love that. A lot of that support goes right back into the city. It goes right back into ordering this or reserving the stage. It goes right back into getting barricades for the streets and getting our permit. And so we also heavily rely on small, local, Latino-owned businesses. And again, that could get dicey. These are folks just trying to, survive with their own business. So to echo what everyone is saying, yes, support is very much welcome.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here, y'all. Thanks for the work that you do in this community, because, I always say, like, if you go anywhere in the world and you say you're from Athens, people don't think you're from Athens, Greece. I mean, it'd be obvious because I'm speaking English, but they think of Athens, Georgia. And that's due in part to the way our government has stewarded our culture, but also the blood, sweat, and tears from you folks at this table. So thank you very much. And, not only do you impact the economy, you have such a cultural impact. I think that was a great point. But another point was the information that you're able to provide people that come to these events. It's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people. And whether it's health related, music related, social issue related, there's all sorts of issues that we can really show that Athens is a welcoming community and put us on the map in a bigger spot. But that's the key word, that y'all create community. Y'all have been creating community and you're still doing it, and I appreciate that. Tim, I'm gonna let you take the mic and wrap us up if you want to.
Yes, please.
And go right ahead, and commissioners and mayoral candidates, school board member, everybody here, thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate y'all being here.
I think we want to just at least make clear that we banded together to ask you guys, being the commission, mayor, for increased funding this year. From our end, it's needed. I think you've heard the stories, again, the economy being what it is and such. So I thought I would ask if there's any clarity that we need to have over how the funding for events works. Or I don't want to explain something you already know, but is that needed?
No, we know.
You know, okay. Okay. Okay.
I think Linda's explaining the part
Yeah.
with them, I thought
Okay.
was key.
So
Start off with.
I attached the last sheet here on your handout. That's the special revenue funds, the hotel motel fund. So that's where the fund for the CEP, that's where the money for the CEP comes out. So there's your numbers from last year, fiscal 26. In the total fund last year was $6.5 million. There was a prior year balance And so we were working with $6.7 million last year. So if you know that the event budget for the CEP came out of this $315,000, which was tourism improvement. We got 250 of that. So doing the math, events are getting a little bit less than 4% of the hotel motel budget. Last year, we made a pitch, asking for 8%. That was 500,000. And it was a tough year on the budget last year. And Kelly put 250, and I think it was Mike's budget y'all went with last year. Yeah, but it was your budget. It was Dexter's budget. So it's going to be a similar fight this year. Kelly has told me he'll put it in the budget for 250 again. So we're asking y'all to do what you can as commissioners to see if you can find some more money here for us. We know that the hotel motel has some state mandated percentages. I believe that's 28% goes to the Classic Center, or it's like the facility. Another goes to tourism promotion, that's our CVB. Then in Athens, this is Athens ordinance, not state mandated. There's another 28% that goes to the Classic Center because it's a tourism product. And then, so that leaves about 15% of the budget still free to pay events or do, a lot of it went back in general fund last year. So we're at your mercy if you can work some numbers around to help us out. Do you guys have any questions about it so far?
And when Kelly told you that,
Yeah.
because see, we don't have the budget yet.
Right.
So you got a sneak peek,
Yes.
and you feel confident when he told you he was putting 250 in.
He emailed me. I was asking what the total revenue for the fund was this year, and he said he doesn't know it yet. So he just said you can count on it being the 250. So I'm pretty sure that's what he's going to put in there.
So that's good info. Like I said, we're learning here.
Yeah.
And additionally with the process, the manager gave his budget to Kelly. Today was not April Fool's was the deadline. Deadline was yesterday. So Kelly has this month with the budget to make it, to take the manager's budget, turn it into the mayor's budget. At the end of this month, it gets turned over to the commission for it to become the commission's budget. So that's how our process works.
Will any of you all be talking to him and making recommendations?
So we can't discuss anything except sort of process, like Linda did and what I just explained. We can't.
Yeah, no, and Tim, I want to thank you for putting this together. And I think the one thing I hope our elected officials can see is that the absolute professionalism at which these events and their representatives are put on. I don't hear a lot of problems coming out of any of these events, and it's not the old Athens that we might be reacting to. This is a new Athens, and y'all have done a great job, and there's some very thoughtful information on this handout, Tim. Certainly, we're going to work on that hotel motel tax for the mayor and commission at the state level. Tiffany.
No, my friend has a question.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm
I have
sorry.
a question as far as, so you're asking for more money, just as the general public, I'm not asking the question. You're asking for more money. There's some that have been set aside. Is there a way that you can kind of share, or not necessarily right now, but maybe share what each festival costs or how much that is? So like if there's an amount that's already set for the budget, how much more do you need? Like how much more?
Some of that has been stated with when these folks were given their perspectives before, but yeah, we can certainly say what our budgets are.
Yeah, or even just are you asking a specific amount of how much more you want?
We're asking for the budget for the CEP fund to be raised to 500,000. Yeah, and that's something that downtown Athens manages, and they decide who gets what out of that.
And then did you outline too the increase in costs for the police rental, the barricading, like everything that has gone up significantly since 2020?
That's an excellent point.
So that's been the pinch.
That would be a cost like that, like ultimately.
That's a pinch. Police don't work for what they worked for back in 2020. Like you want them to show up, you gotta double that.
Yeah.
And then that's double their normal.
Right.
So you double.
Yeah,
So like basically what used to be stretched 15,000 per event is now completely eaten up probably just by paying for the police. And then honestly, the last event that just happened, I will say as a business owner in the prime area, they need some help. There was no, like the events that these guys do, they go off without a hitch. It's beautiful, nobody's hurt, there's an ambulance when someone is. None of that was happening. There was no way to walk 20 feet down the street. It took 30 minutes to walk 20 feet in that crowd. And there was no porta potties. It was up on College. What is porta potty, rows of porta potties on College when the stage is right there on the end of Washington Street? It was bananas town. And all I can say is we want normal events to continue, and then we want to have a rule system in place so that way our businesses aren't inundated with people just using the toilet, because how are we supposed to control all that? But you got to have a budget for this stuff, and then you have to have a way to have like a system. Like, here's the rules, guys. Like Timmy was the first one who ever came to businesses and said, hey, we're having an event on Saturday. So the road's going to be closed. That's part of the rules. They're supposed to when they pull the permit. He was the first one, we've been in business 18 years, to show up at our door and say, hey, we got an event going on Saturday. We already knew, but you know what I mean? Like, you're the only one who did that, and then and then more and more people started to do it, but like.
What you said about increasing costs is really pertinent. Not only are we getting charged more for city services like security, but here's an example. Like our main stage sound and lights in 2022 cost us $10,000. The next year, we couldn't get a bid for less than $21,000. So everything has gone up.
Yeah. What about?
Even more than that, we just want to stay competitive as a city. We have great events here. They're known. Our city promotes these events, but here we're telling you here that we need more support. We need more funding to pay people to do professional work, so that we don't run into problems like you're talking about. In this economy, every single event here relies on volunteers. If we didn't have volunteers, it wouldn't happen. But we need more paid staff, because as your events grow, you need people who know what they're doing. We can't invent the wheel every year when we're expecting 20,000 people downtown for our event. Anyway, I just wanted to add that.
Those are great points. And Bill, go ahead and say a few words.
All right. So I worked for Gene for an amount of years. I've advised some other folks, and I've just been, until recently I had an office downtown for 35 years or something like that. What I want to impress on the commissioners here and those who are seeking to be commissioners, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is that there needs to be a paradigm shift in how we view this. The original CEP funding goes back so far that nobody can remember when it was passed. It may have been I'm assuming it was right after unification. I don't know. The language on it is archaic. It doesn't represent anything that what we're actually doing and what the fund should be for. The budget stated $60,000 for 2 decades, maybe. I mean, it was just, I think at one point, and this was 10 or 12 years ago, when Twilight was getting was getting, 1/6 of that, getting $10,000 of the 60, which was a pittance to what things cost. And somebody called from Richmond, Virginia, or wherever, Gene may or may not remember, it's like, we want you guys to come do that up here. Like, well, we got to do this. Like, well, no. We just give us an amount. We'll write you a check. We've got a $900,000 events budget because we understand that an event that draws 20,000 people turns into sales tax revenue, turns into hotel motel tax revenue. Forget, and I don't mean to sound mercenary. All of these events are great. Forget the feel-good stuff. This is money. People come here and they buy stuff in the county, and we get the sales tax. And that offsets our property tax that we pay. That pays for stuff. We fill up the motels. Timmy fills up the motels. Athfest absolutely fills up the motels. Chuck, I think you pretty much filled up motels last summer. That's money we don't have to pay as citizens for services. The sales tax money goes into the general fund, okay? It's good business. It's a return on investment. So we have lost the plot on this over the past 20 or 30 years by thinking this is some sort of charitable thing we do for these guys who are just trying to put on a fun little neighborhood event. It's incredibly myopic. We just have to readjust our thinking and stop thinking about this as being anything other than an investment. Not just in the community pride, which is important, but I mean, take the small, I'm not gonna pick on y'all and make you figure out who has the smallest event, okay? But even a smaller event, the smallest event at this panel, whether it's downtown or wherever they're doing it, that's a better sales tax day than a day when there's not an event downtown, period. I mean, it's just people spending money. And let me say another thing, because this was a pushback for decades. Well, corporate sponsorship and this and that and everything else. You don't need taxpayer dollars. By the way, this is not taxpayer dollars. It's hotel motel fund dollars, okay? This isn't coming out of the pockets of Athens-Clarke County citizens to support Timmy's wacky party or whatever or some bunch of guys watching black and white movies. I'm not trying to pick I mean, this is not about any argument from tax-paying citizens that, I don't want my tax dollars going to support some music festival or some pride parade or whatever it is. It's not your tax dollars. It's the tax dollars paid by the people from out of town who come here on 7 Saturdays every fall and get hotel rooms. It has to be used for this kind of stuff by state statute. And then I got off track. The corporate sponsorship stuff has, for the most part, evaporated. Okay, some of these events are getting. Peter, y'all are still being helped because there's beer sponsors who are wanting to do stuff. But I mean, I don't want to tell tales out of school, but the money that Twilight used to get from just some big major Southeastern national, Georgia Power, whoever, it's like, oh yeah, well, this is great advertisement for us. We'll write you a check for 20. That's gone. It just doesn't exist. And to the extent that those marketing departments and big corporations are still doing that, they're not choosing a market like Athens for the most part because we are out. We don't have any TV stations. We have no press. We've got no newspaper anymore. We really don't have any local radio. So as far as getting advertising impressions and marketing impressions for their marketing dollar, they're going to choose Atlanta, they're going to choose Charlotte, they're going to choose Asheville over us every single time. Nothing against us. I'm sure they're going to show, I'm sure individually they're going to show up and enjoy Athfest or enjoy the Twilight, but they can't make it make any sense for their budget. So it's this funding, it's what this funding is for, and the return on investment and the other sources of funding in addition to the costs are going away.
Thank you, man. That gives us a real good insight.
Real quickly address that we've built some really formidable, when it comes to sponsor dollars, we as a small group of people here have 2 or 3 formidable competitors that we cannot compete with. Classic Center, which has taken $200 million from us is a formidable competitor sponsor dollar. We cannot deliver, sitting here, we cannot deliver. The university is incredible. I mean, they can deliver all kinds of benefits that we can't do. So the only other source to really offset that is again, we're providing 3 events. It's not ticketed, it's just hard to find that money. I mean, we're lucky. Because we have such a nationally recognized product, we probably have the best sponsorship deals of any event here. And we live stream the event, it's seen worldwide. I mean, there's a lot of things that enable us to sell it, but we still have formidable competitors that just are hard to beat.
Thank you, Gene.
Yeah, some that is written in the comprehensive plan, and it says one of their goals is to embrace, preserve Athens' identity of uniqueness and keep it local. There exists a special vibe or energy within the creative scene. The culture, history, and environment of the community should continue to promote promote Athens as an arts and cultural destination. And then further down it says, identify opportunities to enhance outdoor music and arts festivals and ticketed events that build on Athens' history of music and the arts. And that's going back to what is our goals, what you guys said, and the community said we want to do. And it's definitely, the funding is part of it. The other part is the infrastructure that we need. We've done some work downtown for electricity. College Avenue is getting a great revamp. Be good for events there. But we need to continue investing in our downtown infrastructure as well, so that we can handle these types of crowds that come out and not have things overflowing on the street and people running amok or whatever kind of thing. So, and those are things the infrastructure takes a long time to do, but you guys have the vision here in your comprehensive plan. And just asking them.
No, thank you for that.
May I add something to that? I want to tag something onto that. This is a quote from the Georgia Department of Economic Development Music Tourism Report from 2018. Do you guys remember when they came up? I believe it was the CBB that commissioned that report. And on page 2 of that report, in their key takeaways, on page 10, the ability to develop Athens as a music tourism destination is wholly dependent on the city's music scene remaining vibrant and viable. And then on page 14, they said, develop innovative ways to recognize and reward businesses that invest in music business startups or expansions, or music festivals or events.